I wanted to welcome a new friend to the A-Team, Dallas Ray. He's from California, and he is, just look at the bike. He's a fan of GS 1100s. That's enough to get you into the club. Now, through the magic of our computers, we can share some of the different scenery. This is from out his way. Obviously, there's the GS 1100 right there. And Dallas, he says he's going to be doing some cross-country traveling. Hey, if you're in our area, we could do a 4GS ride. Now, unless I'm wrong, this is an 83. In 83, they painted the engines black. But this looks like it's in beautiful shape. It's got the luggage rack. You got enough of a luggage rack there, you can put a tent on, and you don't even need a motel room to drive cross-country. And I still think it's that one series of bike, 82 and 83, of the GS 1100s that are one of the prettiest bikes ever designed. 39,000, wow! I don't know if you can see that on there. 39,000 miles. That's from the. We just did a speedometer repair. We just did some other work, swapped out the disc. You got my juices flowing here. I wish today was a riding day, but it's a shop day. Now, I don't know how you define beauty of motorcycles, but I love these older bikes. There's just something about them. I don't know. But of course, it's all subjective anyway. So Dallas also said in a couple of emails we exchanged, he found the channel. He's enjoying the... yeah, I just noticed this has the different wheels that they had in 83. Different than mine anyway. And he says he's been enjoying the channel, and I'm happy for that because it's the whole reason we do it. We're obviously exchanging some of the fun we have, our passion for motorcycling, and our passion for sharing that love of motorcycling. Now, I'm sure I've been to California many times, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to ride. I can't imagine, but he said he's enjoying seeing our part of the country too. And we have that wonderful thing, it's actually happening right now, the change of the seasons and the leaves and everything. It's a beautiful time to go for a ride, but unfortunately for us, today's a work day. So these are Dallas's two bikes, and sunny California. Look at the blue sky. I'm always saying how the sky is blue here. We've just come to the end of, or almost the end of, an absolute beautiful summer and the beginning of an absolute beautiful fall. And then it'll probably snow. Now, I always say one thing about the GSs. The biggest mistake you can make is to sell your GS. As soon as you sell it, you realize, wow, that was a pretty good bike. And there's Dallas. Maybe this is his property, I don't know, but hey, we're always happy to give you a shout out, and we do welcome you to our channel. And here's a picture of Dallas. He's, I guess, in younger days, as we all were. Now, that helmet matches the bike. That's pretty cool. I used to do when I used to paint bikes in the 80s. Everybody wanted their helmet painted to match the bike. I guess that went out of style. So this is funny. Dallas sent all these pictures there. And Dallas, by the way, we love sharing the pictures, especially the ones that are motorcycle, the older bikes. We kind of have a sweet spot for these older bikes. Now, Dallas is also a pilot, and I'm not sure if he can relate to this, but I had a 47 Air Coupe. This is a Grumman Tiger. I don't know if a Grumman Tiger you can fly with the windows back like that, but the Air Coupe, I don't think we ever put the windows up. Anyway, Dallas, I really appreciate sharing all the pictures, and welcome to the A-Team. I hope we hear from you on a regular basis. So I thought I'd end this little segment of the video with this picture. Dallas, his older brother flew Control Line. Well, Dallas, I flew Control Line 31 years and have about, and I think there's about 700 or 800 videos out there on the Wendy Ertnowski channel for anybody that's interested. A lot of them cover painting too. Anyway, getting ready for our day in the shop. Now, because this is a shop day and not a riding day, I was looking for something I could test my little sander on. I got a brand new sander. The other one gave up the ghost after probably 20 years. This is a from Harbor Freight, and I thought this would be a good time to test it. I went out and bought a whole bunch of what I hope is going to be different grades of sandpaper. And since we have these 4 mirrors left to paint, this would be a good thing to just, because it's a shop day, use this as a test bed. I always enjoy a good unboxing, that's for sure. And I always try to share like which one of these tools. Some of the tools that you get at Harbor Freight, they don't like the drills. The drills that are usually under $15 when you have the coupon, yeah, they don't last as long as the one you pay $79.95 from, especially if you do a lot of buffing. But they're certainly good enough for the kind, well, for the kind of work I do anyway. All right, so you get, I always look, the little thing to pick the dust up. And by the way, Steve has volunteered to sand that tank down. Maybe he can get some use on this and give us some feedback. I always like to see, because these tools are so inexpensive, what it allows me to do is have a whole shop full of various tools that normally I wouldn't want to invest the money. I just do the sanding by hand. But this is kind of a cool little guy. Now, I know this is really high tech, but just let's see if it works. You see, you never know. And the good news is, if it doesn't work, you just bring it back to Harbor Freight. They don't even look in a box. You could put a rock in a box. I'm tempted to do it too. All right, so it's really a little palm sander. It's an on-off switch. A little dust, pick up some of the dust so you're not breathing. You probably should always wear a mask in my case. Now let's see, I bought this because not knowing what grit we're going to use, we'll just take a look. We'll start with, oh, we got 3 different ones here. So, and I bought this, I didn't know if this was going to be of any value. See, the only way I know if a lot of this stuff works is I got to buy some and try it. And then the idea is, if I can pass the information on to you, this is 100 grit. Now I'm not sure you can see it. It's got like a spongy backing. Now I guess this is one of the things I want to see. Let me get a mirror. Since we're just doing this as experimental stuff anyway, let's see what kind of an etching surface it looks. By the way, I've already cleaned these once with prep wall. Oh, and it helps. I found out it really helps with these if you plug them in. When you don't plug them in, my sockets are so worn out, everything always falls out here. So what I have to do is bend this up just a little bit. You know, things in this shop wear out like a taxi cab. Okay, so let's see if this does anything. You never know until you give it a try. And again, I like to do this in real time without camera cuts. A full real time thing. Now, it really doesn't matter what you would be painting. What you want to have is an etched surface with a lot of little scratches, but not so much that you have to put 10 coats of primer on. I would say that's perfect. I don't want it smooth like a piece of glass, or else the paint's just going to peel right up like saran wrap. But I do want that etched scratch surface. Now, it looks like the first, see, usually I do 10 things before I find one that works. It looks like the first thing we tried here. I'm not even going to try the sandpaper now because Steve can experiment with this on the tank when he does the tank. But I would say right off the bat, it's the 3M pad kind of material for our purposes. Now, on a mirror, there's a lot of little, where the two molds come together, there's little things around the edge here. This is where the mold separates. So I want to get that edge off. And I would guess I can do this, well, I bet I could probably do the whole job. In fact, I'm going to try to do most of it with the little palm sander. And I would say right now, without even going any further, I got a good, probably under $20 tool here. So when I have a successful day like this, I'm really excited about what I'm going to try to do. See, on a typical shop day, I have 4 or 5 different projects to work on. I have a tire to change out in the garage, and I have there's other things I want to work on here, and of course Steve's stuff. I got a seat to cover, among other things. But the thing is, I always like to experiment with tools, and when you can find an inexpensive tool, you know, that's going to make your whole life easier. We're going to be doing a lot of sanding over this winter, you can believe that. So this is for sure a find. I'm real happy with this so far. Now what's nice about this, I wanted to show this. I can get up on the edge here And see, to get that really buffed out, smooth shine, I've got to get rid of any little writing. Let me mention this. I forgot to mention this. The first maybe 4 or 5 sets of these mirrors that I did had writing on it. They had, made in China, use your chopsticks, or whatever they did. You know, now that I noticed the later ones, this is the last set I got 6 in the last batch. They don't have any writing on them, but they still have the tooling marks. And I don't want to see, when I put these out on a motorcycle, I don't want to see those tooling marks. So it's just me. This seems like this tool is a good one. Now I can picture a lot of other things to use this for. I hope Steve's going to be able to use it on the tank. But the good news is it's under 20 bucks. You can't go wrong. And they'll take it back. If you wear it out, I guess. Another thing too, I always laugh. You can buy the warranty. For a $20 tool, the warranty is $19.95. I never do that though. But here's the bottom line. That surface, I'm going to do the rest of these off camera. The rest of this is pretty much ready. I wipe it down once again with Prep Ball and get out there and get some prime on it. This is a real find. This tool, what's the name of it? Warrior. What? And the little soft pad with the 3M stuff seems to work great. Now, I don't know because I didn't have a chance to try this yet. I think you can use this material wet too. And I bought a whole sleeve of them. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. We're going to do some experiment. I think this is going to be nice for buffing aluminum too. More testing coming soon. Now, because this is leaving such a nice surface on here, relatively easy. And what I always do at the end of everything is use my hand to find any sharp spots or rough spots. Yeah, I still have to do a little work down here. There's some tooling marks. I want to get this, because when these are done, see what happens. The reason I don't like flat black, one of the reasons anyway, a flat black anything means they didn't get rid of the tooling marks, or didn't sand it or whatever. But what happens is when you make something shiny, every little thing shows. In the old days, when you'd have a 55 Chevy, you primed it, the bodywork looked perfect. You put a coat of gloss black on and buff it out, oh my God, it looked like a dead cat. So anyway, this all I'm saying is this is just one of the surprises of this whole beginning of the restoration season. This tool is really going to be a useful tool. Now, you notice what happens, the edges wear out a lot quicker. So one of the things you can do with these pads, and I put them on backwards, let them hang off the edge, it doesn't really matter, because a lot of times you're just wearing out the edge. But the pads are cheap enough. Now, I only bought one, but I did, because I didn't know these were going to work so well. I think they make these in rougher grits and everything. I'm going to have to take an old one, or even look on the internet on Amazon and see. They probably make these. And it's probably good to get, maybe Chart even has them, or Gavin's, one or the other. What'll happen is, if you buy these, the 3M ones, the real high quality ones, they're going to be like sandpaper, more expensive, but probably wear out less. But for our projects, this very inexpensive tool is worth having in your shop. Now, that tool is really useful, I think. I'm looking forward to actually using it more and more. Now, here's another issue. I've done this once already before the part is sanded. You always want to use your degreaser. In this case, it's Prep Ball. In certain states, you can't buy anything but dishwater. In New Jersey, we're rapidly coming up on a point where you can't buy anything. You probably won't be able to buy dishwater soon, because it's a problem for somebody, animal rights activists or somebody. But anyway, here's the whole point. What I want to do is get any trace of silicone, fingerprints, or whatever off. You always want to do this before you do the sanding, otherwise the sanding just drives that down in. I'm going to let this dry a minute, go get our primer sealer, and see. Now, normally what would happen, and it's perfectly normal that this happens, is the first coat of primer, anytime you paint plastic, even the sealers, so what I like to do is put a coat of primer on, let it dry, in a couple hours even. It's not going to dry now because it's cold outside, but I could put it up by the heating vent, I guess. Then I want to sand that by hand with some 400 grit, get out any little imperfection before I actually paint it. Now the key here to all this is when you prime is to etch the surface and the word sealer. What that's going to do hopefully is keep the mirror from melting. The thinner in the paint, if you overdo it and put on big giant wet coats, sometime it'll go in and you'll see a baby alligator. Where you used to have a mirror, you'll have a crocodile. So it's put on, in this case I'm going to put at least one or maybe two light coats, but it's going to say either brand, they don't seem to make a big difference. The word sealer, not primer, not self-etching primer, sealer primer. That's a great, great tip. Now while I'm doing the other three, and I'll do them all off camera of course, and I'll get, I hope by the end of this day, get all of them in a first or second coat of primer, because I always do like to let the primer dry overnight before I paint. It's the outgassing from years of paint and lacquer. I thought I'd look at this, and it says for dry application. See, I've never used this. I've not used a lot. No hole, hook and loop backing, 60 grit. I guess there's 3 of each in there, or 2 of each, or whatever. It doesn't, in this case it doesn't matter. It's doing, the first one we picked out is doing a good job. This is definitely a find today. I really feel like I've added something to the shop. So we're ending this shop day with all 4 of the mirrors in some basic prime, and I do like to let them sit overnight, which I'll do. Wet sand them down, see if they need another coat of primer, and paint the black and the clear can go on the next day. We have a paintable day, but I didn't know how much I was going to like that little sander. That little sander is a great addition to the shop. So as the shop season unfolds, we got a seat to work on. We got a shame to repaint that tank. I'd almost rather repaint the motorcycle. That's Turbo Steve's tank, and we'll use that little sander. He got the Jo-Ann fabric material. He bought the basic paint we need to do the project. We're going to repaint that tank to match, but that certainly was getting that tank brand new like that. That's very rare. Anyway, and he wants to show that bike at the Javits show, and I know he'll put his heart and soul into it. But for us, this was a good learning curve. I've never used that little material before. It certainly works good on plastic. We're going to be using it more on aluminum and on metal and on Steve's job, and we can compare it to sandpaper, and we got a lot of choices coming up in the upcoming restoration season, which is coming on soon. We still have a few days left to ride, but I'm itching to get started on that restoration. And thank you to everybody who sent in ideas and little things worth trying, and we have been spending a lot of time trying to pretend we're Chip Foose, but of course we're not. And when that project's done, I think that's going to be one very unique motorcycle. So Dallas, I'll close this video with and thank you for contributing to our A-Team, a picture of my air coupe at the Harrisburg Airport in the 70s. And boy, I look good with long hair. Anyway, I'm not so sure. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.